Welcome to the I-29 Moo U Dairy Podcast. I-29 Moo University is a consortium of land-grant universities in Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota, and Nebraska. This podcast covers timely news, information, and research for today's dairy industry. Welcome to another I-29 Moo University Dairy Podcast. I'm Kim Clark, Extension Dairy Educator located in Nebraska, and I am joined by a Nebraska dairy producer today. We are going to talk about, he has an interesting lagoon system, or not, I guess, interesting, but a lagoon management system that a lot of dairy producers haven't heard about and don't know about. So today we're going to talk about lagoon management systems. So welcome to our podcast, Heath. How are you doing?
Good, Kim. Thanks for having me on.
Well, Heath, let's start. Tell us a little bit about your farm and your operation. I think you are a multi-generational dairy, aren't you?
Yes, I'm the fifth generation on this farm.
Perfect. And how many cows are you milking on your operation?
850.
850. And you grow all of your feeds, right?
We grow 95% of our feed.
And what feeds are there that you grow?
We grow corn, beans, alfalfa, rye. That's about it.
Great. Yeah, and you're fortunate that you're located in a nice location where you have adequate farm ground for the number of acres that you need for your dairy and also overall quality soil for production, right?
We have good water here to raise good crops for our cattle to produce milk on and grow on.
Good. When I met you, you had mentioned a lagoon management system you have, and I think it's unique for a lot of dairies. So tell us about what type of manure management system do you have on your farm?
We run a flush system, so it's lagoon water we use to flush our barn through the wintertime, and then we flush our barn in the summertime with fresh water because that is going out on a crop. Then we have a sand settling lane, a manure press, settling holding ponds, and then we have a treatment lagoon and a pumping.
So a treatment lagoon and a pumping lagoon. What do you do with your treatment lagoon?
It's more where the water we use to flush the barn kind of goes, but we've got aerators out on that lagoon along with the other ones. The purpose of the aeration is to get the water so it's in a usable state for the corn crop or the bean crop. Once it's pumped out on there, the nitrogen and the phosphate's ready for that plant to take up.
So once you flush in your barns, that water goes into your lagoon system and there's an aerator on there to aerate the water. And after the water's aerated in the summer, you pump that water out onto your fields to use as fertilizer?
Yes.
And that's a fairly newer system for your farm, correct?
Yeah, the aeration system that we put on the treatment pond, it's got 8 aerators that are positioned out in there to be able to pull the water from the bottom up to the top so it all gets oxygen sunlight. It's going to make your anaerobic bacteria thrive and get your smaller particles that got by your other systems, and it'll break them down. With the sunlight, it'll kill pretty much all salmonella, E. coli, all your bacteria. It pretty much eliminates the odor.
And I have producers around the state, and I know in kind of the whole Midwest region that they'll pump the water off their lagoon system. They'll pump it into a field to use it for fertilizer. But your system is unique in the sense that it breaks down some of the bacteria that might be in the water. Is that correct?
Yeah, it breaks it down. And then right now we are pumping our water right around a mile. We're looking to tack on another half-mile run and run it close. It'll be like just short of 2 miles.
So you're looking to expand that to up to 2 miles. Have you noticed any negative impacts from pumping your lagoon that far out?
No, the crops really do good on it. We're able to pump it through a sprinkler package, so it got a really nice uniformity, just like you would with a pivot putting water on.
And I know I've looked into some of the benefits of the aerator system, but what benefits have you noticed by using that aeration system? And I guess you'd probably notice those benefits more from the cropping standpoint and not from the animal production standpoint, right?
A little bit. Generally, when it's hot out, cows become lazy, and with that water running below their feet, they will drink the water that's running, and you will get a sick cow pop up here and there from that. So benefits there. In the barn itself, our concrete used to get slick in the summertime, slimy buildup in low traffic areas in the barn. And with having that bacteria in the water that's breaking down everything, I've noticed it actually cleans some of that slime off the concrete, which is a big benefit. Big cows fall down, they get hurt pretty easy.
Yeah, exactly. Slippage is one of the leading cause of injuries on dairies. So anytime you can reduce that, that's always beneficial. Any recommendations you have for dairy farmers that are looking to install an aeration system in their lagoon?
The aerator's been huge being able to, because we used to pump closer, but it was through the big egg guns. Oh, after a year, it would freeze up and quit going around. So when you have the uniformity on the crops that you wanted, it seemed like it was more of a battle. And with the aeration system, we've been able to move a lot of it with very little handling.
So it's easier to handle from the standpoint of,
Easy to get it advocated when I need it. Um, the fields that I'm pumping on, I'm putting less input cost into just because I have lagoon water that I can put right on the crop instead of having to pump a tank of nitrogen on, and it's basically organic.
yeah. And when you say pumping on the fields, are you pumping through like a center pivot
Yeah, we're
irrigation?
pumping through a center pivot irrigation through the drops. So getting nice uniform spread across the field, no plugged nozzles. Should say this, that we pump through a screen that we have set up on pressure switches. So if the pressure drops, we know the screen's getting kind of plugged up. But usually when we're pumping out to the fields, you might have to go up and pull the screen and just wash it off real quick, throw it back in, start everything back up, and she's back going.
It definitely sounds like the benefits of that aeration system outweigh maybe even the costs involved. And we didn't talk about costs, but being able to send the lagoon water further down, fewer nozzles, if any, are plugged up. So you don't have that added labor and expense. It's just cleaning that filter that you have. It. So if you had the option, if you put it on another lagoon system, would you do it?
Yeah, makes it so much easier to handle. And with dairy farmers, we're always dealing with manure in some way or another.
You mentioned pumping, and if you're going to pump off that lagoon system, it's going to be in the summer. We know odors can be a big issue in the summer. And when we spray manure on fields, we have to think about wind. What is the aeration system done with odor? Do you notice a decrease in odor? Is it about the same of any other type of lagoon system? What have you experienced?
It's dramatically dropped the smell. I don't even know what to compare it to. It's a different smell. It's not smell I was used to all the time.
Yeah, it's not the lingering smell that you can definitely tell when someone's pumping the lagoon.
Yeah.
Well, good. Any other thoughts or comments on your lagoon system that we didn't cover?
Nope, that's about it.
Well, thanks for your time on another I-29 Moo University podcast, Heath. Lagoon systems, it's something we're always thinking about. We have to think about environmental regulations and odor and smell, and there's many benefits to lagoon systems. You adding an aerator, there's many added benefits to the aerating system that you added. And so thanks for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
We want to take this opportunity to thank our major sponsors, DTE Biomass Energy. DTE Biomass Energy partners with dairy farmers across the country to produce marketable renewable energy by extracting and utilizing digester gas. For more information, you can visit their website, newlook.dteenergy.com.
I-29 MU is an equal opportunity provider. For the full non-discrimination statement or accommodation inquiries, go to extension.iastate.edu/diversity/ext.